Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm your host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here today. This is your Friday field notes. So you're going to hear from me. Typically on Friday, I share some thoughts that have been bouncing around in my brain for the past several days or weeks. And I thought this being the day after Thanksgiving is the perfect opportunity to talk with you about gratitude. This one's a tough one for me, frankly. Which is exactly why I wanted to talk with you about it, because a lot of the times we hear from people who say it's better to be grateful and you should start each day with all the things that you're grateful for, or have some sort of weird gratitude journal where you write down 5 or 10 things that you're grateful for on a daily basis. I tend to be a bit pragmatic in my approach to life. A lot of these times, or a lot of these types of things tend to be a little too woo-woo for me, or what is the point of that? I'm a grateful person. I'm a happy person. At least I think I am. And so what is the practice of writing down the 3 things I'm grateful for going to do? Every morning I'm supposed to write down, well, I'm grateful for the weather, and I'm grateful for my kids, and I'm grateful for my health. And I am grateful, by the way, for all of those things. But sometimes I often wonder, what is the point of this? What is the purpose of this? We can get so inundated and consumed and overwhelmed with the amount of things that we're supposed to do in this quote unquote self-development space that a lot of the times it seems to defeat the purpose. You may hear some background noise. Something I'm grateful for is I have a young man. It's my neighbor who comes over and he mows the lawn. So he is mowing the lawn right now, right as I'm doing this podcast. I could complain and gripe about that, or I could be grateful that he's doing it and I'm not out there doing it, and I'm sitting here talking with you. So if you hear any background noise, it's the young man next door who's mowing the lawn, and I am appreciative of that. I do want to first and foremost, before I get into a couple of things, tell you that I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for your support. This has been 8.5 years of growing this movement and the mission to reclaim and restore masculinity. And I cannot even begin to describe how amazed, quite frankly, I am that it has grown to what it's grown to, and it's impacted as many lives as it has. And that's a testament to you. It's a testament to the work that you're doing. It's a testament to the guests that visit this podcast and join us in conversation. And it's a testament to the work that we have yet to have done, which we will continue to do as we move into 2024. Today, I'm going to talk with you about 5 things, or 5 reasons, pragmatic reasons, because this is what speaks to me and my personality as to why we should be grateful. And then I'm going to share with you 5 practical steps, 5 practical actions that you can do on a daily basis, besides writing in your weird gratitude journal, that you can implement every single day that are going to help you achieve and have more of the first 5 points that I'm going to give you. Before I get into that, one last thing I do want to mention, because I'm also extremely grateful for my friends and show sponsors, MontanaKnifeCompany.com. If you guys are looking for a good gift for a man in your life, I know there's a lot of women who listen, a lot of wives, a lot of mothers, a lot of sisters. Every man needs a good knife. You may not understand it. You may not think that's the case, but I can promise you that if your man opens a brand new Montana Knife Company knife in his stocking or under the Christmas tree this year, he's going to be happy. He's going to be grateful, and you're going to be glad knowing that you got him a gift that he can actually use, not some weird tie or some ugly socks that he has to pretend he likes. So go to MontanaKnifeCompany.com and use the code Order of Man, or Order of Man, I should say it that way, Order of Man, at checkout, and you'll save some money when you do. It's a great Christmas gift for the man in your life. Let's talk about this, guys. Number 1, this is, again, a pragmatic guide to gratitude. Number 1, being grateful just makes you a more likable person, right? We all know the pessimist. We all know the person who always has something wrong, who always has something to complain about, who's always bitching and moaning and griping. That person is no fun. You don't want to spend any amount of time with that person. Sure, you might be around them because you want to serve them, or they're the weird uncle at Thanksgiving you have to spend time with, but you don't enjoy your time with that individual. On the other hand, the person who is grateful, who's always happy and optimistic and sees that even if the clouds are out and the sun's not shining, that the rain is dripping down and making everything miserable, they'll say, this is good for the crops, we're going to have a good harvest. That's the type of person we want to be around. So from a pragmatic approach, if we're more grateful for the things that we have in our lives, more people are going to want to be around us, and that's a good thing. I want to be around friends. I want to be around romantic partners. I want to be around my children. I want to be around other people who edify me, who uplift me, who support me, who care about me, who serve me, who add value to my life. And if I'm grateful and I have an air of optimism in my approach to life, I'm just a more likable person. And being more likable means that we're going to live a better life. Number two is being grateful is going to make you more trustworthy. And trust is the foundational element of building credibility and authority and influence in people's lives. If people trust you, they're going to give you opportunities. They're going to give you promotions. They're going to give you chances they may not otherwise give to other people. They're going to give you the benefit of the doubt if something goes wrong. Guys, being a trustworthy individual is such a powerful, powerful approach to life. And the reason being grateful makes you more trustworthy is because when you express gratitude to individuals for very specific things that they do, what you're essentially saying is, I see you, I acknowledge you, I recognize your value, and I'm willing to acknowledge it and not hoard the accolades, the praise, the notoriety, the income, the promotion, the opportunity that might otherwise be afforded to me if I took the credit. So a grateful person is a selfless person. They're not selfish. They're willing to give to other people. And if somebody sees something that I do and sends me a message and says to me, Ryan, I'm grateful for that podcast that you did on gratitude because it helped me be more grateful, have a better attitude in my life, and my wife and I are doing better because of it, I am going to trust you more as a listener. And next time you message me, I'm probably going to remember that conversation that we had. Or if I see you at one of our events or another event and you come up and shake my hand, I'm going to know exactly who you are because you've presented to me a level of gratitude, which makes you, in my mind, a more trustworthy person. I'm going to be more deeply connected to you. Guys, again, I apologize about the noise if you can hear it. But again, he's doing a great job. Fine young man. Love having him and his family as neighbors. They're great people, and he's doing a great job mowing that lawn, but it's loud. All right. Number three, being grateful. I alluded to this. It just makes you happier. And I want to be happy. I was talking with somebody the other day, and and you guys probably have seen it if you've been with us for any amount of time. I've had highs and lows in my life, specifically over the past 8-9 years of doing this podcast. And I became, over the last couple of years, very cynical of just life in general. I became very arrogant. I thought I had a lot of things figured out. I put myself on a pedestal that I didn't belong. And a lot of that came through in the way that I communicated with you on the podcast. It came through in the way I communicated on social media. Sorry, it's making me a little emotional because of the way that I showed up. And I wasn't a happy person. There wasn't anything specific that I could point to. I did get into alcohol abuse, and of course that exacerbated the problem. There was nothing inherently wrong with my life, nothing negative, so to speak, that I could point to as an acute problem that created a lot of the pessimism in my life, but I just wasn't happy. And it spilled out. It spilled out into my work. It spilled out into my ability to serve you guys who listen. It spilled out into my ability to lead my wife and my family well. And it made me a miserable person, not only personally, but also to be around. And as I've learned how to be more humble through some very painful circumstances in my own life, And I've learned how to be more empathetic and generous and kind to other people who might be dealing with their own hardship in their own battles in life. I'm just a happier person. I'm more pleasurable to be around. I'm not always so uptight. I'm not always so tense. I'm not always so serious. Not everything's a big deal. 2 years ago, this young man out mowing my lawn would have pissed me off and I would have maybe lost my cool over it. Hopefully not at him, but I would have made a bigger deal out of it than I needed to. And through the humility and the humbling experiences that I've dealt with over the past couple of years, excuse me, I've learned to let go, and I've learned how to, and I'm still learning how to be happy and be satisfied and be a joy to be around. And I've realized that when I'm more joyful and happier to be around and lighthearted and fun and joking and flirtatious and, all the things that come with being a positive person, I notice that that happens in spades in return. And I want to be around happy people. I want to be around positive people. I want to be around people who smile and who make me laugh and who tell funny stories and have jokes, and we can make inside jokes, and we can mock each other lightheartedly in a playful and fun way. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for as a 42-year-old man. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to be a pessimist. I don't want to be grumpy. I want to be happy. And if I look around and I recognize that I have technology and I have this audience of you guys who listen, and I have this young man who mows my lawn, and I have this beautiful home to live in, and I see this mountain outside of my window, and I have my children, and I'm thinking about the things that I'm actually grateful for. I'm happier. I'm just more joyful. Yeah, there's things that are wrong in my life. There's things that could be better. There's things that I would like to improve. And that's a different conversation, because what I do have significantly outweighs what I don't, which leads me into the next point. Being grateful, it makes you less desperate. When you're not grateful, what you're constantly doing is looking for the next greatest thing. I need a different woman. I need more money. I need more opportunity. I need more social media followers. I need more this. I need more that, because I'm not happy in life. And we begin to believe that the external things of life, the cars and the money and the houses and the beautiful women and all the externalities, that next externality is what's going to make you satisfied in life. And if that's what you believe, then you're going to desperately chase those things. And being desperate to chase money or women or fame or notoriety or any of these external metrics is a recipe for disaster, and it's repulsive to the thing that you're trying to attract. If you're desperate, for example, for women, let's say you're in the dating market and you're desperate to get laid, or you're desperate to find your next wife. How many women, high quality women, do you believe are actually going to find that a redeeming quality in you? If you're desperate to build financial prosperity and abundance, and instead of adding real value to people's lives, you're constantly selling and pitching and promoting and hawking and nickeling and diming these individuals, how easily do you think that they're going to be willing to get out their wallet and give you money? Guys, being desperate, especially as a man, I don't know if it's especially as a man, but just being desperate is repulsive. And if you're grateful for what you have, then you need less. I'm grateful for the technology. That doesn't mean I wouldn't like a better camera than I have now. Sure, I would, but I'm pretty grateful for the camera that I have. I have this beautiful home. I could have a bigger home. I could have a housekeeper. I could have different paint on the walls, or better decorations, or bigger deer that I've shot on the wall. I could have all of those things, but what I have now is pretty good. And I look around and I see that moose painting, and I go out there and I see the Christmas tree that's set up, and I look over here and I see the technology, and I look at the camera that I have right here, and I see that gun safe, and it's got my guns, and it's got an ability right there to defend myself and my family and to enjoy the sport of hunting. I've got the TV, and I've got my kids' rooms, and they're a mess. The kids' rooms are a mess. And yet it means that they have things and they have toys. And I can see, even when they're not here, that they're playing and they're having fun and they're enjoying life. And I need less. I don't need more in my life. I would like to have more. I will work to virtuously acquire more in my life, but I don't need it. I could die right now, a happy person, a fulfilled person, knowing that what I have is enough. And that's what gratitude brings to an individual. And then the last thing I want to share with you, and then we'll get into 5 things that you can implement on a daily basis that will help you achieve more of these things, is that being grateful creates more opportunities for you because you're going to see things differently. All right. How many times have you been presented with an opportunity or a vacation or an experience, or somebody has asked you for something or to do something or to give you something? If you're a pessimist at heart, you're going to naturally turn all of that stuff down. You're not going to look at it. You're not going to entertain it. You're going to overlook it. You're going to think it's stupid. You're going to look at all the ways it could go wrong, all the things that could potentially happen in a bad way. You're not going to look at it positively. And subconsciously, what's going to happen is you're going to start to overlook opportunities that could otherwise present themselves. Case in point, I don't know if I can talk about this. I'll talk about this to the degree that I can. I have a really good friend. His name is Rick Trimmer. We've been friends loosely for 20 plus years, but over the past 3, 4, 5 years, we've developed an even tighter bond and friendship, and we've hunted a lot together. And he came to me several weeks ago now, and he's been thinking about this for a while, and he's been wanting to start an outdoor experience company. And he came to me because of the abundance I have with the market that I have and my ability to market and our friendship. And he said, I'm going to do this. I would like to partner with you. Would you like to invest? 3 years ago, I would have been the pessimist. That's dumb. That's stupid. That's not going to work. I don't have the money. That's not a good idea. But you know what? This week I said, you know what? Yes, I'm in. Let's do it. I'm not blind or oblivious to the things that could go wrong. And I'm not willing to invest more than I'm willing to lose. But I said, let's do it. There's a real opportunity here to create experiences for men and women who want to get outdoors, who want to get outside, who want to learn how to hunt, who want to learn survival, who want to learn all of these things that we have access to. And if you're asking me if I can be involved, hell yeah, I'm in. How much and where do I write that check? And I'm grateful that I have the money that I have to be able to write that check, because I just gave it to him a couple of days ago. And I was grateful that I was able to send that check to him and say, I'm in, let's make this happen. I can't get into all the specifics. I promise I will share with you at some point. But guys, being grateful creates opportunities. If you're grateful for people that you run into, they're going to like you more. They're going to trust you more. If you're dating, you're going to create more opportunities for dates. If you're not dating, you're married, you're going to create more opportunities for intimate moments and relationships and experiences with her. Your kids are going to want to be closer to you. Being grateful makes so much sense. And it took me a long time to figure this out, because everybody just told me I'm supposed to write down the 3 things I'm grateful for every day with no real reason behind it. That's the pragmatic reason. If you want to know why you should be grateful, that's why you should be grateful. Now let's talk about how to do it. Number 1, these are very simple things. And please don't overlook what I'm about to share with you because they're so simple. Most of you, maybe not most, but a lot of you will. And you'll say, well, that's dumb. It's so simple. Like, it couldn't be that easy. Trust me, it is, especially if you implement these 5 things on a daily basis. Number 1, say thank you to people. That's it. Just say thank you. Be kind, be nice, be polite, say please, say thank you. The other day I was at Jimmy John's. That's one of my favorite places to eat lunch. And I'm at Jimmy John's, and they made the sandwich. And I think their tagline is what sandwiches so fast you'll freak, or something like that, right? And this person made this sandwich not only fast, but exceptionally fast. And I just said, thank you. Wow, that was even quicker than I thought. I timed you. It was, 22 seconds. And I didn't time them really, but I was joking with them. But I was grateful. I expressed gratitude. I said, thank you for going above and beyond. I was at dinner the other night and the server did a great job. And I pulled them aside and I said, hey, you know what? I wanted to tell you that I'm really grateful for the way that you served tonight. Like, I enjoyed my dinner. I enjoyed the experience, and you were a big part of that. The other night, my second son had his end of football season banquet. And before everything got kicked off, I pulled the head coach over aside and I said, hey, you know what? I want to tell you, I watched you this year and I watched your demeanor, because that's what I do. I'm an observer. And I observed this head coach, and I've seen great head coaches and I've seen horrible head coaches. He's a great head coach. And I told him, I said, you know what? I just wanted to tell you that I'm really grateful for the way that you coached those boys and my son. He's back in town. He hasn't been part of the program for 4 years. He's been playing football, but not here with you. I watched your demeanor. I watched when things didn't go wrong. I watched when your players were upset. I watched you. And without fail, you showed up as a man that I would like to be when I coach my kids. And so I wanted to thank you for that. Guys, it doesn't take a lot to say thank you to somebody. And in this particular case, excuse me, this gentleman messaged me back that night after the banquet was over. And he said, hey, thank you so much for sharing that with me. He's like, it really meant a lot to me. I'd like to talk with you more and catch up with you. He happens to be a neighbor. And that comes back to the opportunities. We may just become friends, or maybe there's something else, but opportunities, because I was just willing to say thank you. And it sets you apart. It's kind of sad, really, that these individuals don't get thanked as often as they should, but it also presents an opportunity for you to set yourself apart by expressing genuine gratitude for something that somebody has done, whether it's make a sandwich really fast for you or a coach who does a beautiful job for your son or daughter. Thank those individuals. Number 2, compliment those people. Okay. When people are doing something or you notice something about them, just say it. I was at the collision place, the auto body shop earlier this morning, because I'm getting my truck fixed. Unfortunately, I got in an accident the other day, and it wasn't my fault. I do want to put that out there, but I did make sure the woman who ran into me was okay, and she was. I talked a little bit about it earlier in the week in one of the podcasts, and this woman walked in, and she was an older woman, but she was really well put together. And you could tell, like, the way that she carried herself and the outfit that she had on, it was festive. And you could tell, like, she really took pride in what she was wearing and how she presented herself. And she walked in and I said, you look really nice today. And she looked at me and she like took a step back and she's like, well, that was really nice of you to say. And I said, yeah, I can see, like, you look festive and you've got your Thanksgiving garb on and you look nice today. And she's like, thank you very much. That was it. Like, it doesn't take a lot to compliment people. If you're actually looking for ways and reasons to compliment people, it's so easy to see what people are doing and acknowledge that they're doing a good job. When I see this young man who mowed my lawn a minute ago and I see him, because I know I'll probably see him in the next, couple of hours, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say, hey, the lines on the lawn look awesome today. Good job. Like, I'm going to tell him that because he needs to hear that. When the head coach of my son's football team does a good job, he needs the compliment. When my daughter does exceptionally well at her dance recital, she had a dance recital last week. I brought flowers and I told her, you did a good job. You did so good, like memorizing your moves and the way that you moved, and you stayed in sync with your teammates. And I saw how much fun you were having and you did a beautiful job. Just little compliments. People will send me messages occasionally and say, hey, Ryan, I listened to that podcast and man, you were so on point. You did such a good job. Or this one point that you did made so much sense. And I just really appreciate it. You might not think that's a big deal. It may not feel like a big deal, but every time you pay a genuine compliment, regardless of how big or small it might be, that goes such a long way in helping other people live more fulfilling lives. I hope that that woman who I saw at the auto shop today, I hope her day's a little better because I saw her and I said, "You look really nice today." That doesn't, that takes no longer than me, making up some sort of pessimistic story in my head about why she's dressed the way that she's dressed, which some people do. It takes no more effort to be nice than it does to be rude or to be a pessimist about life. Next, take advantage of your blessings. Okay, do this on a daily basis. If it's beautiful outside, go outside. Please go outside, go for a walk, enjoy nature. If the leaves are falling like they are here in southern Utah right now, the other night we had this big windstorm come through and it took about 80% of the leaves off the tree. And I was like, oh, this sucks. Because the only thing I was thinking about is like raking all these leaves out of the yard and blowing them off the rocks and how big of a pain in the ass it was going to be. And instead, in the moment, I decided that I'm just going to walk down the street in this windstorm and I'm going to let these leaves blow past me. And it was enjoyable to see all the colors and the leaves falling around me. And instead of focusing on all the bullshit that I knew I was going to need to do, and I still have to do, instead I decided that I'm going to be grateful for this blessing of leaves and life and change of seasons and the wind. Even though the wind is miserable, it brings in fresh, clean air and it moves the environment. And I'm sure some person can tell me why it's absolutely necessary from a biological standpoint that we have wind, but I enjoyed it instead. I just got my truck fixed. I've got a 99 Toyota Tacoma and I had it lifted. I put new wheels and tires on it and it's down at the shop and the guy said it was ready. And this morning I decided, you know what? It's cold outside. It's 36 degrees this morning. I'm going to walk down to the shop. So I walked down to the shop and I made a couple of phone calls. I sent a couple of videos while I was doing it. And I just enjoyed, there was people walking and a few people running. I saw a young man who I hadn't seen for probably 4 or 5 years. I used to coach him in a young men's program before I moved to Maine. And he ran by me and I said, "Hey," and I said his name. I'm not going to say his name publicly, but I called him by his name and he looked at me confused. I said, "Do you remember me?" And I told him I'm Ryan Mickler. He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "You used to be my young men's leader like 4 or 5 years ago." And I said, "Yeah, that's right. It's good to see you." And we had a quick conversation. Enjoy the beautiful things around you. There's so much around you. And the more you take advantage of technology, of nature, of opportunities to have conversations with unique and interesting people, the more rich and fulfilled your life will be. Next, and I think I alluded to this, when things go wrong, look for the good because things are going to go wrong. We know that. I complained earlier this week on the Ask Me Anything episode about, hitting a deer and then a woman crashed into my truck and I had a panic attack. And, you have all these little things that come up. And I'm not here to compare woes to you. And I'm not here to tell you that the things that you're dealing with are insurmountable. Sometimes they're hard and I don't know what you're dealing with. Maybe it's the death of a loved one or a medical diagnosis, like really divorce, really difficult things. I'm not here to make light of that. But what I do want to tell you is that even in those times where life is hard and life is challenging, there's still things to be grateful for. I went through a divorce earlier this year and I sent a message to my ex and I told her that she's a great mother. And I'm grateful that she is the mother that she is. And I told her that the children love her. And I hope she knows that. Like, I didn't do that so she would think anything better or worse of me. I didn't do that with any expectation of anything in return. She needed to know. I felt like she needed to know. And I felt like I was the one who should probably share that with her. And the point that I'm making is that even when things go wrong, like a divorce, they're still good. You and your wife or your ex-wife have a difference of opinion, or, maybe you don't get along for whatever reason. And ultimately it destroys your marriage, but there's still things there that are redeemable about her. There's still things there, hopefully, that are redeemable about you. If you get into a car wreck and, you're put out and you've got to take your truck in and you got to pay the deductible on your insurance, At least you're alive. You know, at least you have the vehicle, or you have the means to replace it, or you have the means for somebody to come in and repair it for you. Like, there's always something that's going to go wrong. And nobody wants to be around the guy who's like, up, throw up my hands, something went wrong. Just another thing. If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. I don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy. So let's start looking for, even in the most difficult circumstances, let's look for the blessings that are there. A great book, classic, timeless book, is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He spent time in, I believe he's in Auschwitz, in a concentration camp, some of the most horrific circumstances in an environment a person can ever be in. And yet he found a way, through his practice of therapy, through his philosophy of life, to be grateful and to serve other people. And that's the last point that I wanted to make with you today about gratitude. You have your health, you have your intelligence, you have the ability to communicate. Maybe you have financial abundance. Maybe there's a certain skill set that you have. If you can use your resources to serve other people and to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others, you will live a better life. We don't do it so we'll live a better life. We do it hopefully because it's the right thing to do. Using your talents and your abilities, your gifts, your skill set, and your resources is a wonderful thing. That's the reason you're here. You would not have the skills that you have. I would not have the ability that I have to communicate effectively if I wasn't supposed to learn how to communicate effectively with you. I wouldn't have access to this technology if I wasn't supposed to utilize it to share a message that is going to impact millions of men's lives. I'm supposed to be doing something with my life. I'm supposed to be serving. And those of us who are grateful enough or fortunate enough to know exactly what that is, congratulations. If you don't know what that is yet, keep searching, keep looking, keep uncovering, keep discovering, keep trying new things, because there's a reason that you're here. And when you figure out what it is, your life is going to become incredible. It truly is. And you're not going to have to work, as they say, a day in your life. It's trite, I know, but it's so true. If you love what you do, you'll never have to work another day in your life. I know, and a lot of you aren't there yet. I know a lot of you will be, and a lot of you can be. And I believe that it starts with being grateful, that we do have abundance, that we do have prosperity, and there's a lot to be grateful for. So as I wind this down on the day after Thanksgiving, again, I want to end by saying thank you for supporting me. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for standing by me when you didn't have a lot of reason to, especially in some of my darkest moments of life, which happened over the past year and a half. A lot of people left and a lot of people gave up. And I understand. I can see why they would. But a lot of you, most of you didn't. And most of you doubled down. And a lot of you said, hey, you know what, Ryan, you screwed up, but let's see what you do now. And you're watching a redemption story. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I want to thank you for being part of it. And thank you for still believing in me. But more importantly, thank you for believing in the mission. And thank you for living out the motto, which is to protect, provide, preside. That is what we're supposed to do here as men. And you're doing it well. And if you don't feel like you're doing it well, we all have room for improvement. So let's get after it. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving weekend. Guys, we'll be back next week for an interview with a former NASA astronaut, author of Moonshot. Great book, great conversation with Mr. Mike Massimino. And I hope you enjoy that one. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.